This week, we're going to start digging into all of this AC system stuff. Start figuring out what we got to do to make all of our lines, put our bulkhead in, put the unit underneath the dash. But before we even get started on that, I got something that I want to address. Y'all heard the exhaust last week, and I'm not thrilled. I love it. I like it. I like the above idle sound. At idle, it sounds dirty. It doesn't sound clean enough for a car. So that's something I'm going to address right now. I talked with a buddy of mine, and he said that Black Widow actually says to put, if you want the quietest, cleanest sound out of their exhaust, to actually put the 250s paired with the neighbor haters. So I'm not going to spend an additional $120 a muffler on top of the money I already spent on mufflers to try to get that tone. So what I'm going to do is I have two different options here. I have a Amazon special chambered muffler. It is a single chamber muffler down inside. It's just basically like the Amazon version of like what a neighbor hater or a Borla single chamber bullet muffler. It's just some cheap version. I got them from a buddy for free. They've been just sitting around on the shelf. I've got these. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna slip them on the exhaust. I've got two, so we can just slip them on the exhaust and hear what they sound like. Now we can do that one, as well as I also have a small little glass pack here. It's basically just a resonator, a little 1 foot long, just little bullet glass pack. So we can try this one, see how it sounds, pop it off, and slap on that one and see how it sounds. To see if just giving it a slight resonator coming through those mufflers, and then something just to clean up that last little pop against idle. See if how that sounds. If we like it, if we don't like it. No, I mean, I'm not changing the mufflers. I've already spent a bunch of money on that, and I like it. I just want to clean it up just a little bit. It's almost got like a straight pipe truck sound at idle, like a 80s model straight pipe poppy sound, and I want to try to clean that up just a hair, which I feel like we can accomplish without doing a bunch more extra work. Because what I can do here is we can cut right in here on this tailpipe and just add in a resonator right there and do that on both sides, and it'll clean up the sound a lot. So I'm gonna fire the car up real quick. I'm gonna set y'all up over here on the ground, and we'll do this test, see how it sounds. I don't know, I haven't done this yet, so we're gonna all experience it together, and we're gonna see which one we like the best. So let me get the car fired up. Let me get it up to running temperature where it's at the lowest idle, and then we can test it. All right, so we got it running. We've got it down to an idle. I just got my wife to sit in the car real quick. She's gonna give it throttle for us. So you can hear it right now. And this is no resonator. So we're gonna go through 3 stages. We're at stage 1. We're gonna go with the chambered muffler. That one. And then we're gonna go with the glass pack style resonator, which is the more chrome one. So we're gonna do that now. All right. Yeah. Well, so me and my wife just went back and forth on it. We're not real sure what we concluded. She does have her opinion as that's the muffler to go with. I told her, I said, the only thing we can do is sit down tonight. I'm not making a decision right this moment. It is going to get one of them, and you'll see it in this video. I'm going to choose it during this week. I'm just not sure which one I have made my mind up on yet. If I want the more muffled sound of the bullet style glass pack, or the still aggressive tone of the knockoff chambered muffler added on with the Black Widow. Either way, you heard it in the video just now whenever I was changing the mufflers around, how dirty it sounded whenever it was in between mufflers. You really heard the dirtiness of it, and I don't want that. It sounds too straight pipe, too nasty, not cleanly like what a big turquoise station wagon should sound like. It should sound clean and crisp and happy, not too like I got cut off exhaust. No, it needs to be more clean than that. I'm gonna sit down tonight and I'm gonna listen to the two videos back and forth, and then I'll make a decision. I also need to make the decision based on if that muffler is too fat to fit up underneath the car. That one is so small, I'm guaranteed that one will fit. So if that one can't fit up underneath the car, then we're stuck with that one regardless. But I like the sound of both of them. I'm not disappointed in the sound of either one of them. So one of the two is going in the car. Now just figure out which one and how I can get it in there. But let's move on from that. That's now something that I have to sit at home and figure out. Now I need to look into what I got to do to get the underdash unit in the car underneath the dash. So I think one of the brackets is missing. I've got to look into that. So let me get that out and start digging into it, and then I'll get back with you. If you look right here on the firewall, there's an oval marking right here, and this was the factory AC location back in '67, and then if you didn't use it, it was just blocked off. What I'm gonna do is I have this oval piece, so I need to figure out which side goes up and down real quick. But once I figure that out, I'm gonna go ahead and lay it up here and mark it out using this silver Sharpie. But I'll mark it out in there, and then I could take a hole saw that is this size and this size and punch these two holes, and this can be mounted into place. And then I have my bulkhead already. I already went inside to make sure that this is where I wanted this to be, so I'm already good with this location. So now I need to make sure, see what side goes up, what side goes down. I don't think it's gonna matter, but mainly for cleanliness of putting everything together, which side goes up, which side goes down will help figure out the best way to run it and make it look tidy. So I'm gonna get that figured out real fast, and then I can hold it up here, mark it out, and keep going. All right, we're actually gonna hold on installing this for right this moment, because as important as that is, what I really need to focus on is I laid all these hoses out yesterday evening and started looking everything over and said, well, this kit comes with number 6, number 8, and number 10 AC hose. And it comes with 6 foot of 6, 4 foot of 8, and 5 foot of 10. Now, in the picture, I mean, obviously it's a universal kit, but in the picture, it looks like it shows like a 32 Ford. And the engine bay on that is significantly smaller than this. I understand this is probably just a stock photo they use because it's a universal kit, But if you're gauging your sizes off of something that's small enough, like a 32 Ford or Model A or something like that, obviously whenever you're dealing with a big body car like this, your sizes are going to be dramatically different. Because I mean, we've got, I'm going to say 5 foot just to reach from the grill to the firewall. I've got to get this hose. This is the size 8. So this one has to come from the condenser, and then it's got to go up and go into the compressor right here. I've got to get my hose cutters out and get my crimper kit out because I have a crimper kit for doing AC line. I got to get that out so I can start making these lines, and I can start building all of this stuff and start getting it all in place. I need to get this one made. The other one that goes from the other line down and into the compressor and loops around and goes to the firewall back there. I will need to go ahead and put the bulkhead in, but I can start with getting some of this stuff done up front so I can get kind of a rough idea of what's going to go on back there. So I'm going to get some of this front stuff knocked out. I'm also probably going to go ahead and ditch the factory windshield washer fluid setup here. I kept it in for a while because I said, oh man, maybe I might be able to get it working. I know it's got power. I know all that stuff. But the thing is it doesn't work. It doesn't spray fluid on the windshield. It doesn't matter. I put fluid in it and it's just sat here. So I'd rather have this space in the engine bay than just have something unnecessary sitting in here. So I'm going to pull it. I'm probably going to mount my dryer right here, and I'll show you that as we get there. But I need to get this out of the way so I can start making all these hoses. I'm also going to go ahead and take this old fuel line that I have just sitting around on the shelf, just a spare bit of fuel line. I'm going to split it down the side right here, and I'm going to make it into a gasket that I can put right here in this opening so that way we don't get any rubber chafing right here on this corner. So I'm going to start with that, putting that on there, and I've already got this one set into place where I can go ahead and crimp it down. And it matters whenever I say set it in place because these hoses are going to want to lay in a certain direction. So you're going to want to find where they feel most natural to lay. And that's how you'll clock the hose on here. Because if it's out and then you crimp it and you go to put it in here, it's going to naturally want to bend a different direction. And it's not going to want to do what it's supposed to do. Not that it won't do what it's supposed to do. It's just going to look ugly. And you don't want it to look ugly. You're just taking this time to do it yourself. So trying to make it look nice. So I'm going to go ahead and split this hose, put it in here, and I'll get the crimper out, and I'll start showing you how to crimp this. Okay, so here's the hose crimper that I've got. It just clamps closed. And if you look, that has a number 8 on it. So this is a number 8 hose. You also have a 6, 10, and 12. But these, you just clip them in here like that. Now, once you close this, you take and drop the pin through, and now it won't pull itself open. Hit it with the impact right here. It'll close and crimp it down. So I'm going to go ahead and get this hose in here, get it crimped, get it close. I really feel like that can go tighter. So we're going to actually put this in the vise and see if it'll go tighter. Or you give it a shot. It's my first time using this tool. I understand how it works. I have just never used it. Let's go put this in the vise and try crimping it that way. So here we go. These Chinese parts. That crimp looks a little bit better. I'm happy with that. I don't suspect any leaking or anything out of that. Now, before we crimp this one, I'm going to put this in here. I'm going to get this bolt out because they plated it with something over there in China. And literally the plating is just flaking off right now. And I don't want to wind up having this thing gall up and lock in here and we can't use it. What on earth? What threads to what? I don't know. I'm going to go throw this thing on the wire wheel, see if we can't get some of this crud out of here. You can already see all the flaking. See it all right there? And up here on the top. Right there. But that's what we're dealing with, and I don't want to get all that down inside of here and have it gall up and lock up on us. Then we can't finish doing this over some Chinese crap that will wind up screwing us in the long run. And the whole time I was just talking just now, y'all didn't hear none of it because I didn't record. Don't buy the cheap China stuff is the moral of the story that I just told myself over here in the corner. Let me move y'all back a little bit. You see? All right. You're still in the way. So we got this made. Let's take it over and go put it in the car. So on this one here in the front, what I came up with was drop that down below, pull it up the other side, get this thing to finally start thread. Now that's at least started. I can come up top here, and I have it coming down below underneath the radiator. I can take this. It's not going to hit any belts or anything. Put it right there into place. And we're going to lock her down right here. Let me grab something to tighten all that up, because all this is now in its forever home. I got to come up with a better way to hold the flashlight, because now that I do YouTube videos, this isn't always the most effective. I mean, it is for me, but y'all can hear whenever I'm using a flashlight. I'm not going to say it doesn't work, and I don't like wearing that goofy light on my head, because most of the time it's not pointed where you need it. It works for me because I can get down in there, I can adjust where I got it. You just hear the fact that I'm holding my teeth. We can probably go ahead and move forward with the removal of this tank, so that way we can look at getting this line mounted down there, coming into the dryer and going up top. And then probably at that point, I need to go ahead and crimp this as well, so we know where this is going to land. And I'm not going to make y'all watch me struggle using that crimper again, so I'm going to run this over to the crimper real quick, bring it back, we'll put it on, just leave it loose. I'm going to leave it loose here and wherever it's going to land up top, because whenever we put that bulkhead in, we're going to need to know exactly where it goes. But let me go ahead and get this one, and I'll go ahead and just pull this tank out of the way as well. So I started to film this last night, and my camera battery died, but so here is the back side of the AC unit. Bulkhead is coming in over here on this side of the firewall. I don't know if you can see it back there, but it's got these two hoses. Oh, they're like this. These two hoses like this. So now on the inside, I'm going to have two hoses like this going, one going to here, one going to here. So now I need to do 90s on these, and then I'll go inside, figure out how I'm going to mount the unit, all that exactly, so that way I can make these perfectly to length. But I need to get the unit at least mocked up mounted into place, and I need to get these mounted into place, mocked up mounted, so that way I can get a start for my dimensions on these. So let me get these crimped real fast. I did end up having to run to the hot rod shop and buy some more hose. I went to one place and I only needed 3 foot of each, which I think I'm going to wind up having way more than I need with 3 foot, but I'd rather have too much than not enough. But saying having too much than not enough, I called one place that's here in Houston, and I asked him, hey, I need to buy 3 foot. How much is it per foot? He said, oh,
per foot it's $375. Okay, cool. But you have to buy 25 foot. What? I'm not buying 25 foot for each. 25 foot each. These are two separate lines. These are two separate sizes. So that'd have been 50 foot of AC hose. That's less than this kit even came with. So no, I went ahead, called another place. They said, look, we got it for $5 a foot. The local hot rod shop had it. They said, we got it for $5 a foot. And the only difference is, yes, you can buy it per foot, but it was $5 a foot. So I paid a little bit more, but man, did I end up saving money in the long run without having to buy 25 foot worth. So I was able to get the hose here in Houston, not have to worry about shipping or getting anything sent in. There was one fitting short on our kit. It did have a straight fitting, but as you can tell, this is going to be up against the firewall. And if we had a straight fitting, there's not a lot of give in this hose. I mean, there's a lot of give, but you don't want to kink it. So what I'm going to do is I just went ahead and bought another 90, and it's going to 90 into here and then go over and go into a straight on this end. So let me go ahead and get this crimped at a 90 degree. Get this one crimped at a 90 degree. It's somewhere. It's come back. Get this one crimped. Whoop. Get that one crimped at a 90 degree. And then we can start getting this mounted in the car. So let me get these crimped real quick, and we'll all go in the car together. So now that I'm thoroughly ready to burn this car to the ground, man, I struggled and struggled and struggled to get these two lines in here, but I got them. So now I need to figure out where this drain's gonna be for the AC, because I gotta punch a hole in the floor and shove it out. I think the best way is gonna be hold this unit back here in place. Pretty much how it's gonna be. We're missing an O-ring. Good thing I noticed that just now. Oh, it's right here. Apparently I knocked it off doing all this. Yeah, all these AC fittings have little green O-rings right here. And the reason why I'm going ahead and screwing this on right now is so that way I can find how the hoses need to land. I need to figure everything out right now, because I also got to make a bracket to go to this. I've got a layout made over there on the table of what I think I need, but you won't know until you actually make it. Just shove your arm up in here and get it stuck where you have a panic attack. You know what? We're gonna pretend I didn't just try that, and we're just gonna thread that right back on. See, look, it goes on so nice. All right. So no, those aren't tight. They're just hand tight. I really like right there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take this marker. I'm going to mark straight down right there at that seam. So that way I can go to the other side of the car, see if I like it. And if I do, I think I'm going to go ahead and just lock down that side with a self-tapper. So that way we always have a reference. And then we can figure out where the drain needs to be. Oh yeah, that's good. Oh, that's not completely locked down, but... Huh? Starting to look like something's a little whopper jawed, because I got to get that bracket made for that side. But let me go get that bracket made real quick, so we can try to get that in. Make progress on something. I didn't get a whole lot of recording done, because I had to go make this little piece right here, and then it's screwed up into the dash up here. It's got one hole drilled on the side. Got my AC lines back there. I can go ahead and tighten those up because this is in for good. The only thing that's weird is this little flat section right here,
because we're flush on this side and we have this over here. It's still far enough back, it's behind here. It doesn't look bad from out here. I could always use it to toss my phone up here or something, or passenger's phone. But I mean, it's well behind the dash. But that's just where it's going to end up landing. There's no other option. This is all shoved as far back as possible. So I'm fine with it. It's just weird, but I'm fine with it. So I need to tighten those hoses up real quick. And that's where we're going to end it for the night. I got all this stuff done, all this little stuff wrapped up. Tomorrow I can come up here, start wiring. But while I'm wiring, I'll go ahead and set up my vacuum pump, start vacuuming down the system, make sure it's going to hold vacuum while I wire the whole system up. And then we'll be able to kick on the system and do all that stuff. But I need to do that so that way I can vacuum down the system. Can't remember if you have to have the car running to vacuum down the system or not. I'll do some research on that and figure out. I just can't remember off the top of my head. See you tomorrow. Well, for y'all, it'll be like 1 second from now. Okay, so earlier we talked about the two different styles of exhaust here. We got the glass pack style, the chambered style. We did a little test and sound and everything, and I've been sitting on it for a couple days. I'm about to cut the exhaust tips off the car, and I'm gonna have to make a decision. And I think we're just gonna go cut them off, shove them up underneath the car. I'll test it one last time. I think I made a decision. I'm gonna wait to say what decision I made yet until after I test. But I'm about to cut the exhaust off the car. We're gonna jump into that real fast. We're gonna get that done, and then we'll jump back into all the AC stuff. So let me set y'all up. I'm gonna cut this off. We'll do one last back and forth, and then one of them's getting locked down for good. So let me get y'all set up. All right, so that's it. The exhaust is in there. We've got this one on the driver's side. There's a resonator tucked back there. Unfortunately, the passenger side, we couldn't get it tucked as far back. It's right back there because we've got the pivot point for the rear axle right here. And so that way I don't get too close. I have a jog in the exhaust now, bringing it over. And I was able to get it back to here, which I'm not upset with. This doesn't look bad at all. This side I just tacked it on so that way you didn't see a weld. You just see little tacks, which that's fine. That side, it's far enough back I was able to get a weld all the way around it. It does. They are different, but that's because of the rear suspension, the way it sits. You can't make it symmetrical. If it was a leaf sprung rear end or something like that, you have the room to make it perfectly symmetrical. On this rear end, you don't have that opportunity. I'm very happy with it. It sounds very, very good. It's very responsive. It's not insanely loud. It's not super poppy like it was. You know, just man, it's hard to get a test if you got the back window down. Give me a second. Let me go roll the window up. I was just curious if adding those other chambered mufflers in here, if it added any more sound to the rear. No, it's good. I think definitely adding the H-pipe took a lot of the sound of the cam out of the car. Because sitting in here, you can hear it more in the engine. And out back, it's a lot more mellow, but we do have an H-pipe in the car. But I'll tell you this engine, I haven't put it on the road yet, but I can feel it's got a lot more spunk to it than that than the 390 had before. It's way more responsive, feels a lot cleaner and more crisp, which it better. It's a rebuilt engine. I'm sorry, rebuilt doesn't fit some people's description. See, even now I'm opening the door. I mean, I'm talking at a relatively regular volume. Now that's louder. So I just whipped up a little bracket for the TV cable. I've been sitting here doing a little bit of research for a couple minutes, trying to figure out what wiring on that unit goes to what. I know there's a power, a ground, and a compressor. I just got to figure out which one's which. It's all vintage air, so I'll be able to find it. I just got to search for it and locate it. I don't know if y'all can see, but right there's a puddle on the ground. That's transmission fluid. So I just got underneath there and started doing some looking at that. And it's coming out of the shift lever arm. So there's a little rubber gasket for that. And how you get to that gasket is dropping the oil pan, and you got to disassemble, take a lever off, slide the whole thing out, replace the rubber, and then put it all back together. So we're not going to drive this week, but we can try to get the AC finished, and I can get that little piece ordered for that. I'm going to order that tonight, and I'm going to work on locating what wires are what. We'll come back up here Sunday, and we'll get the AC finished up. It should only be a couple hours as long as there's no issues, which probably just shot myself in the foot by doing that. But I'll do a little bit of research. We'll get out the wiring figured out, and we'll go from there. So let me sit down tonight, get on the computer, my cell phone, and do a little bit of research, and we'll figure that out. So it'll be it for this evening. So today we have all of our lines and everything hooked up on the engine. We have everything hooked up to the inside of the car. We don't have the wiring hooked up yet. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and set up this system to go ahead and start pulling vacuum. And once this system is pulled and we see the fact that our gauges, they're going to go and they're going to pull down. If you look, the needle is actually lower than where the needle is at rest, because down there, that's pulling vacuum. That's the fact that you have vacuum on the system. So right now, I already pulled off our little caps that go right here, but you have a high pressure and a low pressure. Make sure that's snapped in, that's snapped onto place. We'll pop on low pressure. We've got that one all the way open. We got that one all the way open. I'm gonna fire this up right after I plug it in. Okay, now I'm going to open our valves. Everything's good. These are open, so we are pulling vacuum. And we're going to let this sit for about an hour. Make sure that it's pulling vacuum. At that point, I'll shut it off, and we'll just keep an eye on the gauges for about another hour and just make sure that we don't have any leaks in the system before we start adding Freon. So I'm gonna let this sit. We're gonna run and go get lunch real quick, and then come back and we'll be able to get into wiring up all of the under the dash stuff because whenever we get back from lunch, we'll be able to shut this off and then keep an eye on the gauges, seeing what our pressures are at on pulling and holding vacuum. So let this sit for about an hour. It is almost 2 o'clock right now, so I actually got to get my wife to her lunch, and we'll be back on this shortly. Okay, so it's been an hour, and we are holding, it's hard to get it on camera, but we're like right at 30 pounds on both. So I'm gonna let this sit. We got the valves closed. Let everything sit as it is. This is off. I can actually disconnect it now if I want to, because it is now not feeding anything. So I can pull this off the front of the car, set it down. We keep an eye on this for probably the next like 45 minutes or so. We're gonna make sure it's still holding 30 pounds. If it's not, or 30 inches of vacuum or whatever it is. If it's not, then we have a leak somewhere and we need to go into that. So we need to let this sit and then we'll come back to it. Okay, so we've been sitting here for a while, still holding 30 inches of vacuum. That's as far down as the needles go on this particular one. Some of them will suck down past that. After letting this sit for over an hour and a half, we did have to stop, bleed the system once. I realized I didn't have a pressure switch. I had to go find one locally on a Sunday that had one. Bought it, put that in, repressurized the system. We've been sitting for over an hour now. We're good there. Just got all of the AC system wired up. I have it set. Here, let me turn this off. Turn it off. We're gonna go key on. Low, medium, high. And y'all don't feel it, but I don't know if you can see my shirt. This thing is blowing hard. Now, shut this back off. Shut this back off. This brings us to our most recent predicament. So where we're at now, we've got R134. We've got a fitting here. I've got a secondary fitting here. I've got another fitting here. I've got this one, which this one and this one both seem to be working great. Now here's my other predicament. This is all a brand new AC kit here. I just opened it up for the first time. Everything fit on that end, great. All that stuff worked. Everything over there worked. But this fitting and trying to screw it onto here, let me get you set up here. The minute I try to thread this, it locks up right there. Doesn't matter if I do it to this one. Doesn't matter if I do it to this one. We run into the same problem. So I don't know if they sell one with a different thread for here, or if I can pick up another one of these threads. But I need to go, I'm gonna run to Harbor Freight, see if I can find something there, and then we'll come back and charge the system. Right now it's just holding vacuum. It's just gonna sit there until we're ready. So let that sit. We had a light just decide it was gonna kick off, but we're gonna let that just sit and we'll be back shortly. Let me run to the store. All right, so it's been hours later. So here's what we're gonna do. Told you I ran into an issue and figured out what it was. This one is a half 20 SAE thread, and then all of the other ones are 1420, I'm guessing SAE thread, but that's what the adapter is that you screw onto here, and then it's got the little thing at the top and everything. I can't find that today, so here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna wing it. We're gonna go quick. I don't think this is going to work. But here's what I can do. I can try purging this up here. Yeah. If it would have stayed flowing. We're up a creek without a paddle here. And now that's lost forever. That's where we're going to end it. We're not going to get it done tonight because these are not the right fittings. Everything's already closed. I've gone to 2 different hardware stores, 3 different auto parts stores. The rest of them are all closed around here. Harbor Freight's closed. Northern Tool's closed. I went to Lowe's. I went to Home Depot. I looked up on Lowe's. I actually went to Home Depot. I went to O'Reilly. Looked up all the other hardware or auto parts store things. Nobody's got it today. So unless somebody else has it tomorrow, then we'll go from there. So as of right now, we're dead in the water. We are still holding vacuum. So we're gonna leave this hooked up like this for tonight. Next week, we'll start right here. Also next week, I've already bought the gaskets. One gasket will be here tomorrow as well. So that way I can fix the leak on the transmission. And then we can make sure that we're fully topped off and everything like that. And we can actually set the car on the ground and actually drive the car. See if it drives. If it doesn't, if we've got a broken transmission. What do we got? We don't know. We won't know until next week. So next week we're going to finish this up. We do have the AC blowing on the inside. We are holding vacuum. We have everything we need to have a working AC system except for a fitting to go to a can. And see, even that didn't work. I thought maybe that would work, but no. So that's where we're going to end it. It frustrates me as well, but at least we got what we got done. And it sounds better. We've got the better sounding exhaust finished up. Putting the resonators behind the Black Widows. I'm very happy with how that sounds. It sounds so much better. I really liked how the Black Widows sound last week, but after I started listening to the videos and everything, I said, I'm not quite happy. It needs something a little bit more. Dug into it, put a resonator behind it, and really quieted it down just a little bit and took that extra little raspy little pop out of it. If you want to go back to last week's video and hear that one as it sat there and idle and did all that, there's also going to be little clips and stuff in here, but if you want to actually hear it, you can go back to last week's video and listen to that one completely. We're going to end it here for this week. Next week, we're going to finalize everything. We're going to get it all wrapped up. Hopefully, if all goes well, this will be the last time we work on this car for a while. And then we can actually just start putting miles on it. And the goal is we're going to drive this car to Good Guys. We're going to drive it to Roundup. We have another truck in the other room that we're going to pull in here as soon as we get this one done. It's not the truck that y'all saw in the past on the channel. We have a whole nother truck we're going to bring in that we haven't talked about, haven't showed, nothing. We got a whole new truck starting after this car is wrapped up. So we got to finish this car up and we can go on to the next one. I've got to get my daughter home because she is starting to get rambunctious. So we'll see y'all next week.